Imagine living in a world where darkness isn't just outside your door. It's in your politics, your communities, and even your church. Wars rage for 100 years. The plague sweeps through towns like a shadow of death, and moral corruption spreads like wildfire. Yet, in the heart of this chaos, ordinary medieval men and women discovered a love so powerful, so radiant, it could pierce the gloom and give hope where there seemed to be none. That love was for Jesus Christ, for his sacred heart, and it transformed their lives, their communities, and sometimes the entire church. Today, we're exploring why the love of Jesus in the medieval period is not just history. It's a source of inspiration for you, even in our chaotic modern world. The medieval world was far from serene. By the 11th century, Christianity was splitting apart, with Eastern and Western churches at loggerheads. Schisms divided families, friends, and nations. People feared losing their faith, not just spiritually, but physically, because the church, under pressure, sometimes resorted to extreme measures, judicial executions, forced conversions, and later, the terrifying witch hunts. If that wasn't enough, the sale of indulgences created moral confusion, and even the Pope wasn't safe. Taken captive in 1303, he became a pawn of the French monarchy. 3 centuries later, rival claimants to the papacy shook Western Christendom to its core. Imagine living through that uncertainty. Every week, every leader, every city brought new fears. In the midst of this chaos, people didn't turn away. They turned toward the love of Jesus. It was not abstract. It was personal, practical, and profoundly needed. Then came the plague. Entire villages emptied, families vanished, and death was an omnipresent visitor. The Black Death didn't just kill, it shattered communities, economies, and human hope. Alongside this, the 100 Years' War between Britain and France brought relentless fear, hunger, and destruction. Amid such suffering, the medieval heart sought stability. Leaders faltered, governments failed, but Jesus' love remained constant. Saints and common folk alike found refuge in prayer, contemplation, and devotion to his sacred heart. They understood that in a world of instability, the heart of Christ was the ultimate anchor. So what drew medieval people to the heart of Jesus? It began with the contemplation of his wounded side, his suffering, and the boundless love revealed there. Saints meditated on his heart as the center of divine mercy, imagining it beating for them personally. This wasn't just theology, it was intimacy. A medieval nun might kneel in a silent cloister, tracing the wounds of Christ with her imagination, feeling his love and compassion as vividly as any letter from a loved one. The heart of Jesus became a mirror for human longing, a way to experience God's personal care in a world that often seemed cruel and arbitrary. Consider figures like Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, whose writings radiate with passion for Christ's love, or Saint Francis of Assisi, who imitated Christ's suffering to unite with his heart. Their lives weren't just about prayer, they were about living love in action. These saints didn't retreat into ivory towers. They served the poor, the sick, and the vulnerable, allowing the love they experienced in prayer to overflow into their daily actions. The medieval world may have been harsh, but through these examples, people saw that faith could be a source of courage, hope, and radical love, even in the face of death and despair. Devotion to Jesus didn't make medieval life easy. Christians faced persecution, suspicion, and social ostracization. People risking their lives for their faith were not rare stories. They were lived realities. Yet the love of Christ kept them grounded. A medieval artisan could be mocked for public displays of devotion. A pilgrim could be assaulted on the road. But the inner flame of Jesus' love burned brighter, teaching resilience that modern comforts often fail to inspire. It's remarkable. A society battered by war, plague, and moral confusion remained spiritually alive because its people held fast to love over fear. Within monasteries and convents, devotion reached new heights. These were not quiet retreats from the world. They were spiritual fortresses where prayer, chant, and contemplation transformed hearts. Monks and nuns meditated daily on the Sacred Heart, their lives a rhythm of offering, petition, and intercession. Even lay people participated through pilgrimages, prayer books, and small acts of penance, creating a network of devotion that stretched across Europe, a reminder that the love of Jesus was accessible to everyone, regardless of status or wealth. In a world plagued by uncertainty, fear was constant. Death was not distant. It was visible in every street, every neighbor, every epidemic. Yet medieval Christians found hope in the heart of Jesus. Prayer became more than ritual. It was a shield against despair. Devotion reminded them that suffering had meaning, that love could endure beyond life's terrors, and that they were never truly alone. Even amidst unimaginable chaos, people discovered courage, because their hearts were anchored in divine love. Perhaps the most inspiring aspect is that this love was not confined to saints or leaders. Bakers, blacksmiths, farmers, and mothers carried devotion into every aspect of their lives. They integrated faith into mundane work, transforming daily tasks into acts of love for Christ. Imagine a widow tending her children during a famine, yet pausing to pray to the Sacred Heart for guidance and strength. Or a soldier heading into battle, clutching a small medallion of Jesus' heart, finding courage beyond human reason. Faith and love became life itself, making survival possible and meaningful. So why does this matter to us, 800 years later? Because the medieval devotion to Jesus shows that love can transform even the harshest realities. Their faith was active, intentional, and deeply personal. We live in a world of stress, distraction, and moral confusion. Yet, if we look to the medieval heart, we see that turning toward love, toward compassion, and toward Christ can give our modern lives focus, courage, and joy. Their lives whisper to us, even in the darkest circumstances, the heart of Jesus can guide, heal, and inspire. Ask yourself, where can you bring this devotion into your life today? It doesn't require monasteries, long pilgrimages, or miracles. It starts with a heart turned toward love, gratitude, and service. Like medieval Christians, we can let the love of Jesus shape our choices, guide our actions, and anchor our hope. They endured war, plague, corruption, and persecution, but they thrived spiritually because they centered their lives on the heart of Christ. Their devotion is not just history, it's a living inspiration, reminding us that faith, hope, and love can survive even the most chaotic worlds. So next time you feel overwhelmed, discouraged, or lost, remember the medieval Christians who held fast to the love of Jesus in times we can barely imagine. Their courage, devotion, and faith weren't dependent on ease or comfort. They were rooted in love that endured every trial. Let their example inspire you to open your heart, seek love, and let the Sacred Heart guide your life. Because if medieval hearts could endure the unimaginable, so can ours.